Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. I have some very exciting news updates for you guys today. It doesn't stop short of just being absolutely crazy. Trump's base erupts over DOJ's memo dismissing Epstein's client list, and critics accuse him of protecting elites, or in some regards, protecting himself. Rep. Mark Vesey demands Trump release full Epstein records, sparking bipartisan pressure for transparency. And Israel launches airstrikes on Syrian forces, enduring Drew City after daily sectarian clash. And Russia shrugs off U.S. tariff threats, signaling quite relief and renewed economic maneuvering amid sanction. An ICE memo declares millions of illegal immigrants ineligible for bond hearings, igniting civil rights outcry. I'm going to have all of these top stories for you guys here today. Believe me, this is going to be a great one. Now, the DOJ, as well as the FBI memo dismissing the existence of an Epstein client list, has torn a hole right through MAGA. Trump promised to explore children, or to expose hidden elites that were dealing with children, but now far-right icons like Steve Bannon, Megyn Kelly, and Laura Loomer are calling for Attorney General Pam Bondi's head, and they're accusing Trump of flunking the Epstein test. And we'll get more into when it comes to Epstein. Believe me, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that, because some even whisper that Bondi is cozying up to the deep state, and Trump pushes back, calling the issue a distraction, but the base is seething. And I want to provide more context to the story, so you guys listen in on this.
Gave her a thumbs up as he attended the FIFA Club World Cup final, even as some of his most fervent supporters are accusing her of a cover-up.
I don't think he realizes how much she's humiliated the administration. This is a self-inflicted wound. She caused it. Again, I have nothing against Pam Bondi, but if you want to look for the villain in this story, we have found her.
Over the weekend, Trump wrote that Bondi is doing a, quote, fantastic job, and told his supporters, "We're on Team MAGA, and I don't like what's happening." Some of Trump's supporters are blaming Bondi for the administration's decision not to release more information related to the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, the accused sex trafficker who was found dead in his jail cell in an apparent suicide in 2019. Trump, like many other New York celebrities, had some association with Epstein. This video of Trump with Epstein is from 1992. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they had previously had a falling out and had not spoken in 15 years. It was Attorney General Bondi who set expectations earlier this year that the DOJ and FBI files on Epstein would be released.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
But in a big reversal, the DOJ and FBI have now announced the end of their investigation, writing that a review found, quote, no incriminating client list, and, quote, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed anyone, and confirming that he had died by suicide.
Well, if that is the case, why won't they just release whatever information that they have? So again, they have these documents of Epstein and all this information about Epstein, then just release the information so the public can then cipher through all of this information and see if we can find something. Okay, there's more intelligent people than Pam Bondi. There's more intelligent people than Kash Patel. So again, just release it to the public and see if we can get our hands on it to see if we can make any connections. See, here's the thing about this. This is one of the things that President Trump actually ran on. And Pam Bondi herself would say that, hey, the client list is just on my table, so I'm just waiting for, I guess, the authority and or the authorization to release the list. So that tells me that President Trump, and I'm alleging, this is allegedly, this is my conjecture, that President Trump told her to hold off or stop or wait or postpone, whatever the case may be. What is in these files that the United States government, President Trump, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel is now downplaying this? Because just the other day, President Trump was like, are we still talking about that creep? Are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein, that creep? Yes, we are, because this is one of the things that you ran on. And a lot of your base a lot of conservative, a lot of Republicans, even people who swung to the Republican Party from the Democratic Party or from the Independent Party once the Epstein files released. It doesn't necessarily have to be the client list that should be a part of the files, but everybody wants to know what's in these files, whereas though the Biden administration held on to the information, as well as the Trump administration is holding on to the information. What's in these files? I think that we're going to find out a lot if they ever release these files. And it may be when President Trump is out of office. It may be when President Trump, passes on, so to speak. And I'm not wishing for his death or anything like that, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm just stating what's in these files that's so darn important that nobody wants to release it. And I'm pretty sure they had to sign some sort of non-disclosure agreement, of course, with the top secret clearances. Like this information cannot be released. This is what I'm thinking. It must be high-powered billionaires part of this list and part of these files. It must be presidents. I'm talking about, it could be President Trump, President Biden, President Obama, President Clinton, President Bush. It could be all these people involved in this in somehow way, and it could be links. Okay, if there's crumbs, there's a trail. So you get an expert, you get someone who's dead on and follow these crumbs. Eventually, you'll find a meal. Eventually, the American people will start understanding the truth. See, this is one of those pillars that President Trump ran on about transparency in government and releasing information that doesn't need to be hidden from the public. But now we see something totally different. And his base stated that he is flunking the test. When we look at this, tapping into the outrage of Republican Mark Vesey, he's introduced a resolution demanding full release of all Epstein materials, every single thing you have on Epstein, pointing fingers at both left and the right factions, frustrated over Trump's sudden silence. And some people are even stating that Jeffrey Epstein is not even dead, that he's off on an island somewhere living the best of his life. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of Epstein's body after he, unfortunately, he hung himself in his jail cell, supposedly, allegedly. I wonder, did the public see any pictures? Is there an autopsy report in his vitals? Like, what information that the public has that the American government has? Like, we don't have any information about Epstein. He's stating this is a Democrat out of Texas, Mark Vesey. He's asking to release all files on Jeffrey Epstein, and I believe that they should. See, here's the thing. It's not just Democrats that want this. It's not just Republicans that want this. It's not just independents that want this. It's just people who just want to know, why is it so secretive? Now, granted, the government hides hundreds of thousands of things from the American public, quote unquote, for our own good. But what good is holding these files secretive and hidden, locked behind a cage or some sort, like in some secret vault somewhere that nobody needs to know about this information? But as Pam Bondi stated, it's on her desk. If it's on your desk, just release the files or do WikiLeaks or do something else. But I digress. We're going to touch on Epstein a little bit later. Now, sectarian violence exploded into brutal confrontation because we have these clans, we have these militias, Druze militias, that a lot of people have been in these small conflicts, but a lot of people are perishing due to the conflict between Israel and Syria. Because when Syrian government forces entered the city, Israel rifles pounded troops to protect Druze areas, enforcing a ceasefire amid ongoing tension. So again, I've been stating this for a very long time, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have as well. Israel has been in so many conflicts and so many wars. I'm just amazed that Israel's still standing. And then in other regards, I'm not amazed because we understand that you have the most powerful country, and with our military equipment, military prowess, military strategy, our funding, our resources to back them. Again, I had an interview with Dr. Pamela Denise Long, and we were talking about the case of Israel and how they are strategically placed in that region, and they're one of our strong allies. And this is one of the main reasons why we continue to support Israel. Now, I know that's not going to satisfy anyone. It definitely doesn't satisfy me. I believe there's more than meets the eye when it comes to Israel and the support that they have from the American government. When Trump threatened secondary tariffs against Russian allies, Moscow barely flinched, instead privately relieved. Analysts say that the move was anticipated, giving Russia room to plan responses. Because here's the thing about Russia. Supposedly, they have large quantities of gas and oil, and America basically stated that if any country buys Russian energy, we're going to apply sanctions. Now, I don't know what sanctions we're going to impose against India. I don't know what sanctions we're going to pose against China, because these are some of the major countries that are buying and purchasing Russian energy. So I'll keep you guys updated on that story as well. But again, I'm just curious about how they're going to go about doing that. Now, there was a bombshell memo from ICE acting director Todd Lyons that bars millions of illegal immigrants from any bond hearing. Detention becomes the rule, not the exception. And critics are saying that the strips due process from hardworking families who lived here for years. Again, I don't know why they keep saying this as if these people are not in the country illegally. You get what I'm saying? It's like, well, you know, I robbed the bank 30 years ago and I'm a millionaire today because I robbed that bank and never got caught. But now my history has caught up to me. I shouldn't go to jail. Like, I know that's a wild example, family, but here's my problem with that. If you break the law and they eventually catch you, it doesn't null and void that you broke the law, does it not? That doesn't make any sense. They're here illegally. Again, anyone can hide out for decades. Oh, but they built families and they built homes here. Why can't they have a bond hearing so they can be free to go see their families and friends? Because they're illegally in the country. Let me give you guys some insight here. It says many non-citizens of the United States, including those considered illegal immigrants, are not granted bond hearings due to specific immigration laws and policies. Oh, someone's following the law. Under a law passed in 1996, large classes of immigrants are subject to mandatory detention while their removal proceedings are pending. This means they are ineligible for bond or even a bond hearing, regardless of whether they pose a risk of flight or a danger to the community. Now, certain criminal convictions like those for murder or those serious crimes can also lead to mandatory detention without bond eligibility for immigrants. So that is what we're faced with here today. We have some people that are now following the law, and I think that we should just all take our hats off to that, because this is not something that we've been having for quite some time. Finally, we have people who are willing to do the right thing by the law. And that's, I think, majority of the American citizens truly want to occur here. So when I look at illegal immigrants, not as if they're not people, but they are in a illegal status that should be corrected. Because again, if we mass deport all illegal immigrants, I wonder what would happen to all of these industries that has hired illegal immigrants. Would they then incentivize Americans to come work for them? These are some of the questions that I have. But now I want to jump on Jeffrey Epstein. I want to jump on a lot of things that are turning heads when it comes to the Epstein files being released. Excuse me. I do want to jump on this because I think it's utterly imperative, because we've been hoodwinked as an American people from our government, and not just the Trump administration. I believe the Biden administration, at least as far back as the Biden administration, because General Flynn, former national security advisor to President Trump, is now going public with what he claimed is irrefutable top-level documentation showing that Barack Obama's DOJ and FBI orchestrated a full-scale surveillance operation, not just against Trump, but against the entire American First movement. So this is a bombshell for the Democrats, because now they have actual evidence of foul play, of Trump being investigated, of Trump being followed, them gathering information on Trump. And this was General Flynn is stating. And Flynn says that this wasn't rogue spying. It was organized, it was intentional, and he claims it was part of an institutional operation to sabotage a sitting president and nullify an election they didn't even like. This is what we're hearing, ladies and gentlemen, out of the White House. This is what we're hearing out of the White House from the Obama administration. Wow. And just to think people thought Obama couldn't do any wrong, even though he didn't support Black Americans. But I digress. And again, don't forget he was actually labeled the deportation chief or something in those guidelines, because everybody was going harsh on Donald Trump of mass deportation. But Obama deported more illegal immigrants than any other sitting president. Now, Trump may double or triple that number because of his time in getting right on it. But this went under the fence. This went behind the veil, ladies and gentlemen, of President Obama doing a lot of the things that now the American people are just finding out. In Flynn words, and this is me quoting it directly, he stated that they spied, they lied, they framed me to protect their operation. Now I'm holding the proof. He has all the cards. Now, according to Flynn, this proof includes internal memos, redacted emails, intelligence briefings, and surveillance authorization signed off by senior officials from the Obama-era DOJ. He says that these documents confirm illegal FISA, FISA abuse and the strategic weaponization of federal law enforcement. And do not forget, President Obama has done this. This is the alleged claims, okay, of Flynn's words, okay, of former National Security Advisor General Flynn. This is what he's stating, that he actually has proof, he actually has evidence, he has memos and emails to show the American people. And again, we just have to wait for this information to be released, just as most of us are waiting for the Epstein files. But Flynn hasn't released the full files to the public yet. But here's what he's saying is coming. Surveillance orders on Trump's campaign officials before any alleged wrongdoings, communication between the DOJ officials talking about a backup plan in case Trump won, evidence that key media outlets were briefed in real time to shape the Russian Gate narrative, an internal pushback by lower level analysts who were told to stand down or be reassigned. Now, I wonder how many people are going to jump on board and try to protect President Obama, who needs no protection from the American people. I don't care if you're Democrat, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. I don't care what you are. You're an Obama lover. Listen, if you are breaking the law, if you are spying, if you are investigating a former president, and you're doing it again, this is actually breaking the law, ladies and gentlemen, because again, he says that these documents confirm illegal FISA abuse and the strategic weaponization of federal law enforcement. That's what's saying. And Flynn quoted, okay, and I paraphrase. Let me make sure I get this right. The evidence they tried to bury isn't going away. It's here. It's real. And once it's released, there's no walking it back. And that's what we're waiting for. Again, I think we're waiting for a lot of things as the American people. Are we not? We're waiting for this information to be released. We're waiting for the Epstein files to be released. And as expected, when it comes to former President Obama investigating President Trump, again, some of the claims here, evidence that the key media outlets, now, this is my conjecture, allegedly, it's possibility, the likes of CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, anything with a C probably. But they stated that evidence that key media outlets were briefed in real time to shape the Russian Gate narrative. So basically what they're stating here is that mass media pushed propaganda on the American people. This was all in a ploy so President Trump couldn't be president again, by the way. That's the one thing that we cannot forget. Okay, or prevent him, my apologies, prevent him from being president. Again, this was during the Obama administration. Let me make sure I get my timeline right. Now, as I stated before, as expected, the mainstream outlets were CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, and already labeling Flynn's claims as conspiracy-laced, baseless, or political motivated. But ask yourself this: if it's so baseless, why the media blackout? Why do we have the coordinated silence across legacy media? Why no Freedom of Information Act lawsuits to get the truth? And more importantly, why did they go so hard? They went extra hard to destroy this man in the first place. Now, some people believe that President Trump is a bumbling idiot, that he doesn't know what he's doing, that he's incompetent. Even Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, when he made those low IQ remarks, basically say, let me keep this simple for the president so he can understand, basically reverberating the same sentiments that President Trump stated on her. But when it comes to this, Flynn was the first scalp of the anti-Trump machine. They charged him with lying to the FBI as a setup, as he puts it, just days into the Trump's presidency. Why? Because as the national security advisor, Flynn had access to everything. Every cable, every call, every covert operation, and they knew he would blow the whistle. Where's the CIA in all of this? You don't think the CIA had any information of this? Because where are the agents that they used to spy on President Trump before he became president in his first term? Because again, they were doing everything to try to stop this man to become president, just as well as they did for trying to stop him from becoming the 47th president. So again, let me be crystal clear. There is no longer about Trump versus Biden. This is about the integrity of every election going forward. This is about the unelected bureaucrats in federal agencies that can override the will of the people with black ops and media manipulation. And just look, in order for these news agencies to come out with these narratives, propaganda, I'm pretty sure they got paid by the U.S. government through some pork funding legislation or some pork funding under the table pluff account. When we look at these things, Flynn is saying this very plainly, folks. We no longer have a republic. We have a shadow state pulling the strings behind the scenes. And I believe that a lot of us already knew that there was a shadow state in place, and that only people with certain statuses, bank rolls and bank accounts of billions and billions of dollars was in charge, and of course behind all of this. And they didn't want President Trump to become president the first time because they're like, he's too erratic, we can't control him, he's a billionaire himself, he has connections, he has influence, and now he's going to have the power of the presidency. Who can stop him now? Now, Flynn has promised that he will begin releasing documents soon, but here's what I want you guys to pay close attention to. Will the DOJ move to block the release? Because again, this is supposedly, allegedly, the acts of a former president by the way of President Obama. So they're going to block this release. Will the media attack Flynn's character again instead of addressing the content? Will House Republicans step up, or will they do, when it comes to the Epstein files, will they chicken out? He says it's going to start with a drip and then it's going to flood. Once the floodgates open on all of these stories, whether it be Epstein or the investigation of President Trump by the way of the Obama administration through the DOJ, even the most diehard skeptics will have no choice but to admit it. We've been lied to on a scale most Americans can't even imagine. And just the other day when I was reporting about Joy Reid conspiring with Republican Congressman Jasmine Crockett to basically, in some regards, try to deport the Trump family, her state basically is revoking her membership into the Democratic Party. She's like, I think I'm going to be an independent. So we're not just dealing with political corruption. We're dealing with a system built to protect itself at all costs. And the man who stood at the highest levels of intelligence says he's ready to take it down brick by brick. So I ask you guys this. What happens to a country when the people finally see what's been done in the dark? Because they stated that everything that's done in the dark will come to light, and we're still waiting for it. So again, General Michael Flynn has just dropped a political nuke claiming he has classified documents that prove Obama's DOJ and FBI spied on Trump and plotted to destroy his presidency before day one. In this report, hopefully I broke down these allegations, the government cover-up, and of course the media silence, or the media's propaganda initiative to fool the American people. And we're going to define if this is true. And we're going to dive deeper into these Epstein files because I think this needs a closer look. I was really hands off Epstein and just waiting for more information to come out. Because again, you can do a quick report why they're not, coming out with the files, but now it has my attention. And I believe that it has you guys' attention too. So with that, I'll see you guys on the next one.